Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I want to discuss how today's economic news has not just killed off Rishi Sunak's New Year pledges, but how the corpse has been cremated and the ashes scattered at sea. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news in politics, please subscribe to the channel. So we had our monthly dose of economic news hit this morning. The best way of describing it would be catastrophic. It is catastrophic economically, it is catastrophic politically. I have very mixed feelings about what we're seeing here. On the one hand, there is no way of Rishi Sunak conning the public about his economic competence now. He has spent half a year looking good in comparison to the chaotic excess of Boris Johnson and the deranged insanity of Liz Truss. But Rishi Sunak is not the grown-up in the room. He is not the steady pair of hands. He is as much an economic and social vandal as any of his immediate predecessors. He just seemed more plausible. I can look at what is emerging and see that he has no chance of winning the next election unless Labour do something monumentally stupid. But also that the Tories cannot possibly replace him now. Frankly, I think they knew they were scraping the barrel when they picked him. There was just nobody else. So politically, this is good. But the devastation is causing real suffering for so many people and will continue to do so. And they're salting the earth for the government who replaces them. This is economic carnage. I've seen more than one person today saying that they hope Labour know what they're doing because it's going to take more than just competence to sort this mess out. This is a monumental mess and there is no quick or easy fix. But let's discuss the news today by taking a look at Rishi Sunak's 5 pledges. He made them in the new year and polling has already shown that people think he's doing badly with all of them. So let's see how badly. First, he said he would halve inflation this year. Okay. CPI inflation is static. It was forecast to fall by 0.3%. Nope, staying where it is. Core inflation's actually going up. Sunak cannot wave vaguely at the rest of the world either. Inflation is not only lower in comparable economies, but inflation is falling around the world. It is the UK where inflation is remaining stubbornly high. This is the hard Brexit premium that we have now baked into our economy. The Tories have been hiding the impacts of Brexit behind actual global disasters, but as the world adapts and emerges from those emergencies, we get left behind. And this pledge is tricky because Sunak gave a deadline. He would halve it. When are you going to halve it? This year. Right, it's set. Now, maybe it still will. I don't know. What I do know is that it is behind the forecast he was given when he made that pledge. And it will also mean the government will push the Bank of England to double down on the interest rate rises tomorrow. Sunak has backed the Tories into a right corner. The party which relies upon the votes of mortgage holders is putting its head down and going full steam ahead on massively increasing mortgage payments until they stop spending money on literally anything else. This is a government with the motto, the beatings will continue until morale improves. Oh, and double trouble, because polls continue to show that quite a lot of people think that if Sunak achieves his inflation pledge, prices will stop going up. Some even think it means coming down. No, they will still keep going up, just at a slower rate. But the fact that people don't realise this means Sunak has created a situation whereby the Tories suffer from economic ignorance amongst the public rather than benefit, as is usually the case. It is a pledge that is basically a no-win for Sunak. And I sort of alluded to this some time ago. If he fails in his pledge, he can't claim to be an achiever when he tries to persuade people to vote Tory after 14 years of pain. But if he succeeds in his pledge, people will think he's conning them because the cost of living will still be getting harder to afford. Because that's what they care about, not the inflation figure. Can they afford to live? It is a lose-lose situation for him. Whichever advisor persuaded Sunak to go with it is either a Labour plant or a complete fool. The second pledge was growing the economy. Well, this is a laugh because he has adopted a policy of shrinking the economy. He is pushing policies which force people to stop spending money. So this isn't even a pledge he's failing at. He is consciously, very deliberately doing the opposite. He is literally the anti-growth coalition. He is trying to trigger economic contraction, even recession. In fact, people are now saying it's difficult to see how we avoid a recession at the end of the year going into 2024 when Sunak wants to win an election on a platform of economic competence. Quite why his intended campaign strategist Isaac Leverdow has not quit already, I do not know. I hardly think he's going to want the next general election on his CV. It is a sign of just how chaotic Sunak is that he was visibly relieved earlier this year when we avoided the technical recession at the start of the year. He was, and then he decided, you could see him stepping it up and getting a bit leery about it because he dodged a bullet. Now he's pursuing policies of actively wanting a recession. That is quite the U-turn and not a sign of someone with a long-term plan. The third pledge was to reduce national debt. Well, congratulations. National debt is now above 100% of GDP for the first time since my parents were young children. And these three things taken together, inflation remaining high, a policy of shrinking the economy and rising national debt means that his intended plan of a sneaky tax-cutting budget next year to try and con voters, that is going to be tricky. Because that was the plan. Get to next year, cut taxes and say, oh, we got through the hard, like they always do. Oh, we got through the hard times. We steered you through it. Yeah, it was tough times. But the good times are rolling now. This budget proves it. And if you vote for us, there'll be more of it. Oh, you're not just going to put the taxes back up after the election. No, that's it now. Plain sailing from here on in. Oh, but not if you let Labour in because they'll just crash it again. That was the plan. But it's going to be tricky. When I say tricky, I mean impossible. He won't have the fiscal headroom for it. If he tries to do it anyway, we know what happens. Because we saw what happens when Liz Truss tried to do the same thing. Sunak will get the same effect. He's completely blown it here. Recently, Sunak was asked if he will take personal responsibility if his pledges fail, or is he going to seek to blame the Bank of England? His response was, of course it's on me personally. Absolutely my responsibility. I've told the public to hold me accountable. Today he's trying to blame the Bank of England. Makes a change from either the past or future Labour government, doesn't it? He's blamed both of those recently as well. As for the remaining pledges, NHS waiting lists aren't coming down without investment, which is not forthcoming. And the small boats issue is best left unmentioned, I think. When Rishi Sunak made those pledges in January, he must have thought he'd concocted some easy promises to make him look like an achiever. I said at the time that I thought his pitch was going to be, yes, my predecessors made a right arse of things, but I'm different. I achieve where they have failed. No need to risk an untested Labour government. I'll sort it out. Now, in theory, if you can pull it off, this can work. No way of defending the Tories' record in power because it's a skip fire. No point in just making loads of shiny new promises because they won't be believed after 14 years of failure. Why would people give you another 5, you know? But if you can show that you are actually getting things done, albeit belatedly, but you are getting things done, they might give you the benefit of the doubt because after all, Labour does represent the unknown for many. It can be a case of better the devil you know. But Sunak has cocked it right up. What he thought would be easier turning out to be impossible. Frankly, I will say, I was surprised at the time, I said as much at the time, that the lowering of the national debt was a pledge. Because even in January, I mean, their budget statement suggested more borrowing for some time. But the others were either achievable or at least could be fiddled. But he hasn't been able to. He thought inflation would just naturally come down just because forecasts suggested it would. But those forecasts are based on the notion that governments adopt policies in the national interest. They can't take account of Tory greed and stupidity. So he's blown it now. There might be some months where the news is a little bit better and otherwise it's not so good again. But Sunak is currently behind the field, riding a three-legged donkey. There is no recovering from this without a major change of policy direction, and I see no signs of one coming. It really is now just a case of when do they hold the election? Because they're going to lose. I think the longer they wait, the more seats they're going to lose. But what do they think? Polls are consistently showing Labour gaining at the moment. Yes, it'll go back down at some point and the Tories will start crowing. These things go up and down, ebb and flow, ebb and flow. But Labour are gaining ground as we are going into an election campaign for 3 crucial by-elections. One of them the Lib Dems are going to take. 2 of the others, at the moment, you would say Labour are going to take. Rishi Sunak could easily become the first Prime Minister for generations to lose 3 by-elections in a single day. That is not going to do anything for the confidence of his MPs, and it is certainly not going to help him keep the rebels in line. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.